Hey guys, Corey with Outpost Campers. We're gonna mimic what a handoff will look like in person. We're gonna go over the exterior components, interior components, and the loading procedures. So everything I'm gonna go over today, right now, if you're watching this, is gonna be mimicking exactly what it's gonna look like for your in-person handoff here at Bayfield. So we're gonna just start with the exterior items on the camper. Each camper comes with 4 manual camper jacks. We send you with 2 drill chucks, just like this. So you're gonna attach that. You can move it up and down real easy with a drill. We do, in dire situations, send you with 1 manual hand crank as well. It's in case your battery dies or you forget your drills at home. It's gonna attach the exact same way, and it allows you to manually crank the camper up and down. On the side ports here, you have your freshwater quick connect. I do always advise, maybe we send you with 1, maybe buying a second one, because if you lose this, it's really hard to fill your freshwater tank. It's nearly impossible. So you're just gonna line this thing up, crank it to the left there. It is spring loaded. That just deters any bugs or people coming by and putting anything in your freshwater tank. So you're gonna attach your freshwater hose here, turn the faucet on, or the spigot on. Once it is filled, it will discharge out of here, so water will come pour out of that. I love the quick connect because you can just turn it off right at the connection. You don't have to chase down the spigot. Again, I would probably purchase another one of these just to have a spare. You do have your external solar port here, so if you decided to get the EcoFlow 400 watt portable panel, this is where it's going to plug into. If you plan on providing your own, this is going to be the port you're going to plug into as well. You may need a SAE adapter depending on what panel you get. A lot of those come with a polarity reverse, so just be aware. Inside, you'll be able to detect if you're getting voltage or wattage coming in. You may need an adapter or polarity reverse to make sure that works. Down here, you have your DC to DC. That's where it lives on the camper. So if you decided to get the DC to DC option, that's what they're prepping inside the bay here. But that's where it lives on the camper, and that's where it's going to plug in. And we'll go through when we're loading on how to install that before you lower on the truck bed as well. You have your 4 ratcheting tie downs as well. You have 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, of course. This is your gray water discharge. So this is gravity feeds from your sink. So just make sure if you're using the sink, you come out here and open up this port. You can also get a piece of hosing. Hose attaches very easily to this. And depending on where you're at, where you're camping, you may need a gray catch solution. We usually do a piece of hose to a 5-gallon bucket. Works really well. Right here, you do have your molly panel. So there's 4 locations on the camper that we provide. If you do this one, I actually like to put like an outdoor shower on this one. You can get the shower sprayer out the door easily, out this window. It's a really good place to have the shower handle hang. We do have a 50-pound weight capacity on each panel. So just be aware on the weight of the products that you're installing onto these molly panels. Coming to the back here, we have your 30 amp short in. So you will need a 30 amp RV adapter. One like this will work really good. Again, we have a lot of these items on our preparation guide. We have links so you can go check that out and purchase anything you may need if you're planning on camping on day 1. So easily plugs in, and extension cord. That's how you're going to charge off your house outlets or an RV campground outlet. So down here you have your 4 flat. This is what runs your running lights. You may need an extension, a 4 flat extension, or some trucks have a 4 flat or like a 7-way in the truck bed. If you do not have a 4 flat in or on the truck, you may need like a 7-way or 5-way to 4 flat adapter as well. So just know before you come pick up what solution you need for a connection for your running lights. We do have our new external ladder. This thing provides access to clean out off your panels, remove snow from the roof. Also has really cool mounting options as well. So really good for maybe your recovery gear like MaxxAir. But really utilize so you can clean off those solar panels and get snow off the roof. And if you go with the roof rack option, you're going to need a way to access the roof anyway. So that's the add-on ladder, and then the roof rack up there as well. Other external outlets, we've got our one and only exterior 120 outlet. So a lot of people, it's great to cook on your tailgate with the induction cooktop. A lot of people will use that to plug in like their Starlink minis. So just great for having an external outlet. Right here, we've got the deck light. That is actually, the switch is located just inside the door on the left. It does illuminate because it's an external light. So if you hit this little entry light, that's on a separate circuit as well. It does not illuminate because it's an interior light. So just be mindful it is not burnt out. That is what the purpose is, because you actually can see the light inside. These illuminate because they're an external light. So we're going to go into the dual pane door. This one has the add-on insulation door cover. I do advise getting that because it's the only way to black out the rear door window. And of course, it increases the R value of the door itself. If you want to still have it up but still have some privacy and some airflow, you can just turn these upper two tabs. And actually, it's a snap feature here. Snap those in, and you still have some wind that can come in. You have ventilation, and then you still have some privacy. So I really advise getting this add-on option. It does come with a little carrying case, so when you have it off completely, you have a place to stow it, which is located in this drawer here. One of the main things with the door is anytime you have this open, always engage this latch. If you open this thing up and there's a windstorm, it's going to blow it open, and it's either going to hit the heater box or it's going to hit the MOLLE panel. So always engage that latch when you have the door open. To separate the door, which is a great feature with this, that bottom latch, and it shuts. You've got your bug screen, and you have the metal mesh, which is great. If you have hound dogs or cats in here, they can't just barge through that metal mesh and then get a bunch of airflow in here. So of course this shuts just like any normal door. The cool thing, and it makes this a really safe door, is when you crank that door handle over to the right, you're actually engaging the upper and lower latches. So you can see here and here, that's the kind of the mechanism you're seeing. So it's going to suck that in fully to engage the gasket, and it makes it super solid. Someone can't just come in here and pick this lock. They're going to have to almost destroy the upper, lower, and center part of the door to get in. So it's a really versatile door, really kind of one of the coolest features of the camper. When you re-engage the two pieces, it's engaging on these hooks here, the upper and lowers. Just always make sure when you shut it, you're really engaging that. Because if you do not, and you go and shut the door, you'll have a pretty big gap at the top. So just make sure you're engaging that door on the upper and lower hooks. Over time, no matter if you're doing road miles, you're doing off-road, bumpy roads, these are gonna inevitably come a little loose. And you'll know that when you go to shut it and you engage that handle to the right, it'll be a little metal on metal. Or if it's just not opening and closing properly, you will just need a Phillips head screwdriver, and you're gonna loosen that one and this bolt, and you're gonna take the cover off. It has 3 set screws on the inside there. You're gonna loosen those, and then you're gonna readjust it so it lines up with the upper and lower catch here until that's shutting really good, and then you're gonna retighten everything up. That, it may never happen, but over time, that's inevitably gonna come out of alignment, and it's a really pretty quick adjustment. So we're gonna go over how to lock the rear door. You're gonna shut the door, you're gonna engage that handle to the right, and I like to mimic that motion with the key. So handle right, just mimic that motion. You're all locked up, and when you open it, kind of mimic that left, just like that. To lock from the inside, when you're in there, you're gonna engage that handle up, lock to the right. So we got the new black powder coated aluminum heater box. This is where your S-bar heater is housed. This thing's really nice. It's got the new latches. It also has 2 locking mechanisms, so you can secure everything inside the box. Inside here, you have the 2.8 gallon diesel tank. You are able to run kerosene off this. I always advise customers know before you go, if you're gonna be in really cold weather, cold conditions, just make sure you know if you have some additive. So it's an anti-gelling additive for the diesel tank. So just know what temps you're going to be seeing when you're going out camping to make sure you're prepared. That's the last thing you want, camping in cold weather and having your diesel gel up. So inside the box, of course, yeah, the 2.8 gallon diesel tank. You do have your fresh air intake here. I would just advise making sure everything is free and clear on the external port here. Wasps may make some nests in there, bugs might get in there. Just make sure that's free and clear. That's your fresh air return. And then you have your exhaust here. Just make sure that's free and clear as well. When the units on this box get pretty hot, of course, the exhaust is going to be the hottest portion. Just keep your hands kind of free and clear of the internals of the box when it is on. You do have a breather valve here, or a breather hose. So if you ever see diesel pouring out of the top here, it's intended to do that. So when you're in hot weather, the tank expands. When you go over mountain passes, the tank expands. So there's a lot of expansion and contraction happening to this, and that's just allowing that air to escape, and it will take some diesel with this sometimes too. So don't be concerned if you see diesel coming out of that. So the D2L that by S-Bar, it is good to 13,000 feet. The thing sips fuel. It's at, I think every 20 hours of runtime consumes about a gallon of diesel. So super efficient. And that's it, just like running. It's if you have two bodies in here, this thing will rarely turn on. You can keep the temp in there at 65 pretty easy with two bodies in there. They're fairly maintenance free. The main thing I tell people to do, if you're staying in this for a month, 2 months, and you're using it quite often at 65, 70 degrees, I always tell them to do a burn cycle. So burn cycle, you're gonna go inside to the thermostat, you're gonna crank that thing to 100, let it run for about an hour. It burns all the creosote buildup inside the chamber, and just open up all the doors and windows before you do that. But let it roll for about an hour at 100 degrees, and it'll burn all the creosote buildup in there. Pretty much preventative maintenance. Good to do, again, every month or two, depending on how much you're using it. Also with the heater box, you got the Molly panel. We advise not putting more than 10 pounds of weight onto this. It's great for like an exterior trash option. But yeah, just avoid putting anything over 10 pounds on that. You do have your fill neck here. So the beauty with this is when you're filling your truck up at the gas station, you can fill this thing up with diesel kind of in the same stop. So that's a really cool feature. So we're gonna go inside the camper, and we're gonna just go over all the internals of the camper. So we're inside the camper, we're at the rear of the kitchen. We're just gonna kind of start in this corner, and we're gonna kind of travel this way in the camper. Items inside the drawer here, like I talked outside, we have the insulation door cover case, so you have a place to put it. And then you do have your induction cooktop in the bottom of this drawer as well. In the corner here, you do have the one speed charger. So this is a USB-C and your normal USB charger. This is on a separate circuit, so you can actually turn that off and on right at the outlet. You also have your GFCI outlet back here. If you ever need to access anything behind these, this is actually on two wooden dowels and just pops up, and you can access all the electrical components there, and you can just slide that back down, super easy. Of course, because this is a Pacific West Associate certified camper, so you know things were built to code. We do have your fire extinguisher with every unit, and it is a kind of more conveniently mounted spot there, so you have a lot of extra wall space here if you ever want to add another shelf or something post-sale. For the cabinetry, these things are built really, really well. You got two gas struts here. The only thing with these cabinets that I advise people to do is when you're lifting this up, because it is on two gas struts, just kind of assist that latch so it does not hit the ceiling and mark up the ceiling. So other than that, these things are pretty much bomb-proof. And the latch system, you can travel down the road. Stuff's not going to fly out. This latch is really nice. We're going to go into the window. So every window is going to function the same, whether or not you get the standard 2 bunk windows or if you do the add-on front window option. All these are going to operate the exact same. So you've got your blackout shade, bug screen. You're just going to press the top. You're going to pinch that top one to release those. That is just pressure fit. So again, just pinch the top one and you can separate it. You do have to engage this center gray button in order to turn these latches. But as you can see, we're past both these tabs. So we're in the full shut position. That engages the gasket fully, really buttons up the camper, makes it a super solid seal. So again, engage that center button. And then if you go in between the tabs, that's your semi-lock position. That's going to allow the camper to breathe still. A lot of people like to air out the camper this way. They'll drive down the road within the semi-lock position, and it allows your camper to breathe. It is the 3 awning settings, so just slightly when you hear that click, you can stop. It's got the 3 settings there, and then all the way up to bring it back down. Again, we're going to go in that full shut position. It is dual pane acrylic. Just stay away from ammonia-based cleaners that can actually damage the window. So we use a spray away foam glass cleaner. It's really actually nice to not only clean the window, but it's really good cleaning the interior fiberglass walls as well. If for some reason, just a little tip here, if you're traveling in the semi-lock position and you do have the blackout shade up, because it does have a reflective material, people like to travel in this on hot days. Because this is such a well-insulated and there's really no holes in this camper. So if you're traveling in the semi-lock position, you'll actually notice that the blackout shade will get sucked into the window and it'll come off track. If it does that, just disengage that top one. You can actually pressure fit your fingers back here and you can just pop that down. And you can hand roll that blackout shade and it'll snap right back right there. It snaps back on track and it's functioning just like new. So again, all the windows are going to function the exact same way. And you can even pop this top one up as well. So other cool features is you can replace components. You can just replace the acrylic. You can replace the struts. Another cool feature with that, you don't have to replace a whole window if you damage the acrylic. So we're going to go into the sink. Comes with the integrated cutting board. It is a folding sink, so it's really nice. All these you can manipulate. You got your mixer here, so if you do get the hot water option, you can mix at the sink. So you just got your hot and cold, then up to turn it on, down to turn it off. We'll go into the components under the sink. Of course, you have the gray water hose. That's that discharge again. If you're using the sink, make sure that port is open. If not, it'll just back this up. You have your water pump down here. You have your main supply line. You have your porthole, access that front driver's side ratchet strap. And then if you did opt in for the on-demand hot water, it is located right here. This is also where you're gonna do your winterization, which comes with the bypass hose. So you're just gonna take off this inline strainer filter, and you're gonna put that in lieu of it. Just go check out our winterization, de-winterization video to get the tutorial on how to do that properly, but it will take place under the sink here. You're gonna come up to the control panel, go over kind of the lighting features we have in here. You got the 2 dials, knobs here. That's gonna be the left one's your under cabinet, all dimmable. And then you got the right one is your overhead puck lights, all dimmable as well. You're just gonna push those in to shut it off, push them in to turn it on. Down here you have your water display that's just telling you how much water is in your freshwater tank. Got your thermostat. We got a rear scene light here. Again, that illuminates because it's an exterior light. So if you see that blue light on, that means that rear scene light on the back of the camper is on. And then you have your water pump button here. So if you have power running to it on the console, you're gonna hit this button to charge your line, and then you can use the sink and shower sprayer. We'll go into the thermostat here. I'm gonna show you kind of the most useful and kind of the most way people use this thermostat. Of course, it's gonna be the heat function, but if you hit the dial, it's gonna turn on. You got your home screen here. So the 3 squiggly line, the arrows up, that's your heat function. The fan, of course, is your fan function. And then you can go into settings. We'll do a little deeper dive into that here shortly. And then you have the calendar, which you can preset a lot of stuff on this one. So if you want to set it to turn on June 1st for an hour at 90 degrees, you can preset a lot of that. So a lot of cool functionality with the thermostat, but we'll go into the heat function. Go ahead, click that. This is where you're going to set your temp. We'll just go to 79. Click that, and then you can go anywhere from a timer from 10 minutes all the way to 720 minutes. If you go to the infinite button, that's going to make it run just like your house thermostat. So we're going to click that, and it's going to illuminate red. That's a good indication you're in heat function. It illuminates red. If you are in fan mode, it will actually illuminate blue. So we're going to let this start up. It will indicate heater in the top left corner. You'll also get a little light flicker, which you can kind of notice here, and a spike in the output. That's just an indication that your pump and your blower are going to turn on. So give it a little time. Don't go hitting buttons with all this happening, because you can actually interrupt it. You can fault it. So just let this thing start up. And you can see it said heater indication, and then you will actually hear a little clicking and sometimes a little whine for that pump and that blower to kick on. So we'll wait, we'll let that kick on, and then go into our EcoFlow. So this is going to probably be the longest duration during the handoff that we're going to touch base on, because there's it's a lot to retain in a little bit of time. So this is just going to be a great video for when you leave here. You can always revisit this video and go over everything that we went over during your handoff. So we got the home screen. You got input, output, and recharge time. This recharge time will actually swap between available time as we start using more components inside the camper. But right now it's telling us with the current configuration, it's about 14 hours to get fully charged up here. We'll click on that recharge time. Gives you about the same relative information as a home screen, except there's a little deeper dive into your battery. Goes into your battery temperature, your battery voltage, and amperage. So this is a great screen if you guys are having any difficulties with battery, you're getting like a cold or overheating warning. I'll have you actually come in here and we'll check the temperature and the voltage reading on your battery. So really kind of for tech support reasons, if you're calling us, this is a great screen to do a photo shot. Or if you have the app on your phone, you can do a screenshot of your phone and send that to us. In the settings here, this is where you can actually change your charge and discharge levels. So right now we have you set at 100% charge and then 20% discharge. So this is just kind of a cool feature. If you're plugged into shore power for winterization, and we always advise that you bring this back down to like 70 for shore power winterization process, and discharge, we always say bring that up to 30. You got to save those functions every time we change them. So this is just a great feature for just making sure your battery is not constantly at 100, because lithium batteries don't like to be constantly at 100, and they don't like to be at 0. So really cool feature that you can just change the charge and discharge levels, and we'll go over that in more depth with your exact situation for winterization, even long-term and short-term. So we'll do a little deeper dive on your handoff on your situation. Go back to the home screen. We'll go into the inputs. So inputs, this is basically all the ways you can charge the house battery. So we got the alternator charger. That's the DC to DC connection that we're installing on your truck. So that's the alternator charger. Solar One, so that's going to be your entire roof array. So whether or not you just have the standard 250 or you got the 500 watts on the roof, that's going to be the entire roof array. So if you did get the extra 250 watt, it's going to be 500 watts on Solar One. Solar 2 is that external port that I showed you outside. So that's when you have an external like portable solar panel, that's where it's going to display the input for that external solar. AC charging, that is your shore power. So that's what we went over, the 30 amp RV adapter. So when you're plugged into your house or at an RV camp spot, that's what is going to display the wattage coming into the system. We're going to go into the settings on the input. So the AC charging, like we just said, that's going to be your shore power. So we're going to click on that. AC input current. So if you're at an RV spot and you have a 30 amp circuit you can plug into, you can dial this up to 30. That's the potential amperage. That's the potential wattage you're letting come into the system. You still have to change this bottom one to actually let the system charge at 30 amps. So just be aware, if you're let's say 15 amps. Just make sure that's at 15 amps as well. Again, when I do this real time, if you're on a 30 amp circuit, see how it just stayed there? You do have to physically bring that up if you want it to charge at 30 amps. If you're in a 30 amp circuit and you only want to let in 15, you can just dial that AC charging current down. So you have a few options. Just understand what amperage outlet you're plugging into, because you will have to change it here. We're going to just keep that set at 15, and that's what we're going to send you out at when you leave from your handoff. So alternator charging current. This is, of course, the amperage that we're allowing to come in from your truck's alternator. Again, that's the DC to DC tie that we're installing on the truck. So we're going to send you out at 35. During your handoff, we're actually going to show you, I'll show you real time. Of course, the more amperage you dial this up, more amperage, more wattage coming in the system from your truck's battery. So manufacturer recommendation, we are going to send you out at 35, but I will show you real time what you can expect when you increase that amperage. I usually don't like to go over 60 amps. You're just really straining your truck's alternator. So we'll go a little more in depth on your rig, but manufacturer recommendation, we're just going to set you out at 35. Idle vehicle charging. Basically, that's allowing your truck's alternator to charge the house battery. So we'll just toggle that on for you. We're going to set some parameters on your truck. So when you turn it on, it's going to pull from your truck alternator. When you shut it off, it's going to stop. So you can't physically kill your truck battery. For some reason, if you do kill your truck battery, charge the starter battery. You're going to toggle that on, and it is actually going to jumpstart your truck. It's going to push about 500 watts back into the truck battery. So it's not a jump start, it's actually charging your truck battery. So really cool feature if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you left the truck light on, you can actually come in here, hit that, and it'll jump start your truck. Really cool feature. Advanced settings at the input settings. This is where we're going to set the minimum alternator voltage of your of the truck. So port 1, that's where we're going to bring that up to 13.2. And that's what the manufacturer recommendation as well. Again, we can change that upon pickup specific to your truck, but 13.2 tends to work for everyone. Port 2 and port 3 have nothing to do with the system, so we're just going to focus on port 1. This voltage number is basically going to make sure that the system never kills your truck battery. So when you turn your truck battery on, it's going to exceed 13.2 volts. That's going to start pulling from the truck battery, charging the house battery. When you shut the truck off, it'll dip below 13.2 volts, and it will stop taking from your truck battery. So it's a really cool safety feature just to make sure you're not killing your truck battery when you're out there using the camper. So we're going to exit out of the inputs, and we're going to go into the outputs. So you got your AC. Just remember, AC is all your outlets in the camper. So you can actually toggle all your outlets off there if you want. If you're going on a long hike, some people will shut that off because you can get a little phantom draw from outlets, but it's very minimal. But you can turn off all the outlets. So your 12-volt DC, that's going to be DC run components. That's everything else but your AC unit. If you opt in for the AC unit, that actually bypasses the distribution and goes straight to the power hub. So you can't toggle that off and on. And the console, you have to do it at the unit or with the remote. So we'll dive into that. So we got the AC. Again, this is all your AC run components or your AC outlets. You have your water heater if you opted in for the on-demand hot water. This is where you can actually see the wattage usage of the hot water when it is in use. You got your bench and bed. So that's going to be this outlet here down at the bench, and then the outlet up in the bed area. Other outlet, you got your shore and counter. So that's going to be the countertop. When you're plugging in your induction cooktop or you have a coffee maker, that's where it's going to display the wattage usage of those amenities or those products you're using. And then the shore is the external one I showed you on the outside of the camper, which again, you can use your induction cooktop, or a lot of people use your Starlink. That's just going to show you what each circuit is using. So it's really cool to monitor. Never exceed 3,600 watts on one of the outlets because you can trip a breaker, which we'll go down to the distribution and show you. Just like your house just like your house panel, this is your breaker box. So we got your water heater, your bed and bench, and your countertop and shore. So these are going to act just like your house breaker system. If you exceed too much power on one circuit, it's going to trip a breaker, come down here, put it down, flip it back up, and you'll be back in business. You also have all your DC run fuses down here. And we have all these labeled for you as well. So you got entry, fan, pump, lighting, and fridge. So as you can see, these actually illuminate when they have power to them. If a fuse is broken, those will actually turn orange. So if you ever have a component not working, this is a great place to check first. Just make sure the fuse isn't broken. And if it is, you just got to replace it and you'll be back in action. Coming back up to the control touchscreen console, we went over the AC, so we'll toggle over to the DC run components. We're in the 12 and 24 volt. So again, just like we saw the distribution panel, entry light, fan, pump, lighting, and refrigerator. Of course, real time, you can toggle those all on and off as you want. It also gives you the reading on how much wattage. So if I dim these lights, you can see real time, your wattage usage is going to go down. And as I bring the lights back up, that it will display what wattage that's using. So that's all your 12, 24 volt. It's really cool because if you download the app, you can actually do everything I'm doing here on your phone, which is super handy. If you're driving down the road, you can monitor kind of all the wattage usage, the inputs, especially with your alternator chargers. So it's really cool to be able to toggle these on and off via Bluetooth on your phone if you download that app. So you see the 12, 24 volt. We're going to go over to the 48 volt. And this is actually where you're going to see what wattage usage your AC unit is using, because it's a 48 volt system. That's where you're going to see the wattage usage. So if we turn that on, once the compressor kicks on, you'll actually see the wattage usage of your AC unit. Going into the settings, this is where you can prioritize the grid. We send you out prioritizing the grid. So anytime you're plugged into shore, it's going to prioritize that. If for some reason you want to go ahead and prioritize the battery, you can actually toggle in between the two. One thing to note, if you did do the on-demand hot water option and you are plugged into shore power, you actually have to physically come in here and toggle to prioritize the battery for the hot water heater to work when you are plugged into shore. Of course, I would always come back to this video if you are having issues with that hot water heater. That's probably what's happening. So again, if you're plugged into shore, come here, prioritize the battery, and your hot water will work. But we're going to send you out with prioritizing the grid. I'm going to hit save there. And those are kind of the main things I'm going to go over with the input, output, and your recharge / available time. But we'll go into the main settings on the EcoFlow system. This is where you can connect to Wi-Fi. So right now we're on our Outpost Wi-Fi. So that's where you're going to connect to either a hotspot on your phone or if you have a Starlink. Relay settings, I'm not going to go over that in this video. You can change your screen timeout, unit of measure. If your system ever throws a code, if you have an overheat or something happens with the power of the battery, it'll actually log. So right here, these codes popped up when we do the installation of the distribution panel. So this is not actual codes relevant right now, and over time they will time out. But the cool thing is, if you're having issues and you forgot the code, you can come in, check the log, tell us what code, you can do a screenshot. So really pretty good information if you're having issues with the system and you had a code get thrown, you can always locate it there. Change language, debug setting. If you're having issues connecting to Bluetooth, you can come in here and reset it. And then the about is where you can do actually a software update. So let's say you need to do a software update. Good indication. A little bell icon is going to show up in the top right, kind of next to that gearbox on the main home screen. So if you ever see that bell icon, you actually have to be on Wi-Fi to do a software update. So either go in here, scroll up to that Wi-Fi, connect to your Starlink or a hotspot on your phone. Once we are connected, scroll down to the about, software update, and it's going to automatically do a software update for you. As you can tell, we are all up to date with this unit. And that's really all I'm going to touch base with. Even during your handoff, we'll go a little deeper into your specific winterization for the electrical system, but that's all we're really going to touch base with on your handoff. So we've got the new 90-liter 12-volt compressor fridge. It's got a really nice latch system. Main things with this is you do have a bigger freezer than our previous fridge. The main thing with the freezer is if you are shutting the system down, I would advise either putting some towels in here or having a catch of some sort, bucket or something to catch all this frozen material thawing out. So just be aware of that when you go to shut down the camper. You will have some frozen ice and stuff in here, so just make sure you have a way to catch it so it doesn't go all over your upholstery. Also in here, under the drawer here is where you're going to find the dial to control the temperature. So just be aware of where that's located. Again, you can take this whole thing out as well, but you can actually just flip this up and go down there and change the temperature if you want. So it's located, the dial is just located under there. Really, that's it with the new 90-liter fridge. So we're gonna go into the bench components. Of course, you gotta take your upholstery off with the new bench assembly, the nice bamboo kind of keyed in bench system here. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna go over, we got the fresh water tank here. So right here is gonna be that pickup display. So that's gonna be what's displaying how much water you have in your freshwater tank. Right here, you've got your overflow, you got your main fill, and then the line down there is the main supply line. So that's what's gonna be pulling from your pump. Just mindful with the water tank. If you did do the on-demand hot water option, always good to note that that's gonna increase by 40 degrees. So whatever the ambient temperature in your freshwater tank, it's gonna be increased by 40 degrees by the hot water option. With the hot water option as well, this is where you're actually going to shut the unit off. So we got hot water heater. So I can flip it on there and again, turn it off. With the hot water heater, I always advise if you are in between a quarter tank and empty on the display, go ahead and shut that off, because if you ever run the hot water heater completely out of water, you'll burn those coils up and then you're going to have to replace it. So just be real adamant on, if you're between quarter tank and empty, to shut the hot water heater off at the breaker panel down here. Other items in the bench, we got the power hub. Of course, that's all your charge controller. That's your 3600 watt built-in inverter. So this is where all the inputs come in. So the main things I will go over is, if you're ever having any issues with anything, I would always come in here, make sure these leads are solid. You got side leads here too. These are two COM cables. So those are the communication cables between your touch console and your distribution panel. So if your console is ever acting up, always advisable, just make sure everything's seated properly. If for some reason your phone dies and your console is not working, you can actually come down here and turn on all your AC and DC run components as well. So kind of a cool feature right at the power hub to be able to turn everything off and on if for some reason, again, your phone's dead and your console's not working. One of the main things, if you're ever having issue, you can't get a hold of us, you're having any issues out in the field during the weekend, we advise doing a power cycle. I'm going to show you how to do a power cycle, because it's kind of the main thing you should try to do before either contact. It's something you can do out in the field if you can't contact us. So to do so, I'm going to have you come to the touchscreen console. You're going to go into your inputs. You're actually going to toggle off every individual input like so. And then you're going to come down to the power hub. You're going to flip up the silver tab like so. You're actually going to hold that power button for 4 to 5 seconds. It's going to shut down the whole system. Wait for at least 30 seconds, and then come down here and you're going to turn it back on. That's going to be a power cycle that actually alleviates a lot of the issues people have. Just kind of a good resource to do if you're out in the middle of nowhere again and can't contact anyone. So you also have a working AC outlet right at the power hub. So that is a working AC outlet as well. Of course, you do have to, if you ever have to access the battery sits under the power hub. So that your 5 kilowatt battery is going to sit under the power hub. we have a really good video on how to remove the power hub to access the battery. So just go check that video out to know how to actually access that battery. So we're going to go into some areas that you want to avoid clogging or having any towels or jackets hanging in front of. The main one is going to be at your diesel heater inlet. So this is going to recirculate the interior air. And you can hear right here, it's got suction. So I would avoid hanging any jackets, because if you actually clog this up, you can suffocate the heater. So just really avoid clogging that up. There's other 2 locations to keep clear. Is going to be this perforation left of the control panel. This actually allows your compressor in your fridge to breathe. So it just allows your camper to work a little more efficiently. And then you actually have perforations under here by the main supply line, just right of your water pump. Keep that free and clear. We'll go into shutting down your S-bar heater now. We're going to go, again, click that home screen. It's going to tell you what function, because we're in the heater function and we're into the infinite. So it's running just like your house thermostat. Hit the home button. Again, we're going to go to the heat function. That's your 3 arrows up. And then we're literally just going to hit off. That's going to de-illuminate. And you'll still get, again, you may get a little light flicker upon shutdown, because you get a little spike in wattage usage. And again, this has a 3 to 5 minute cooldown mode. So definitely avoid trying to start the thermostat back up until you've waited 5 minutes. And again, this is where that heat is going to blow out, and you can actually move this to direct the heat in some manner. So just, again, areas to avoid and shutdown process of the S-bar heater. So with the 48 volt AC, if you opt in for the 48 volt AC unit, we actually provide a dome MaxxAir fan for exhausting. If you're cooking inside, it's a great way to exhaust any fumes, any smoke. We provide that because the AC unit actually recirculates the interior air. So it's a great way to exhaust anything, because if you're running this just on fan mode, you can't exhaust anything. So that's a really good feature, the MaxxAir dome fan. We'll go into the use of the AC unit. Of course, we got the power button that's going to turn the unit on. Can, of course, use the remote provided to turn it off and on. You have the fan on this unit is the blower speed. So you can go all the way to almost non-existent to a full blower mode. You have the mountains as your setting. So you can swap between AC, sun mode, eco mode, fan mode. Again, I really like fan mode when you're sleeping at night, because you can actually rotate the vents and you can have it blowing directly on you, which is really nice during the night hours. Main thing with this unit is we do have a high humidity mode. I'm just going to show you how to take it in and out of that. It's a light bulb indicator here is when you're in high humidity mode. If you're ever looking at the control panel, you don't see that, easy fix. You just T, V, 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 and that's going to pop it back into high humidity mode. So again, that's in lieu of the MaxxAir fan if you opt in for the 48 volt AC unit. So we got the standard Deluxe MaxxAir fan. This thing has an auto up and auto shut feature. It has 10 speeds. You're able to exhaust air out. You're also able to reverse that and pull air in. One thing I would always advise, turn this thing off before you travel. It is aerodynamic, but just good practice to have it shut. And everything you do at the control panel here, you can do here with the provided remote. So we're in the back passenger side of the camper where we have our Lagun table storage. I really like having a designated storage option for the Lagun table. And always, always before you travel, stow this away in this configuration. You don't also have to tighten this thing down too much. So just get it really nice and snug. But we'll go over the functionality of the Lagun table in bed mode and table mode. We're going to go ahead and take this off and put it into bed mode. The cool thing with this is we have these 2 little notches front and back of the table, and then you have 2 little knobs here on the ledger boards. So you're just going to line those up, and that's great because it just prevents this thing from sliding around. You're going to use this main back cushion. Always assist this because this is just on like a 3mm tape. So always just kind of work the hand all the way down there, and you're going to flip this over. And you're in lounge mode. This is, I mean, great for another sleeping spot. Post dinner, it's a great place to just lounge with your partner, have the window open, and do some stargazing. But we'll go into table mode here now. Go ahead, throw that cushion back up on the Velcro. You're gonna pick this up. I actually like to put it in table mode while it is stowed away. So I'll just put that back up, tighten it down, and we'll remove leg 1 here. So what I like to tell people, it's kind of like a ratchet wrench system. As I push this button, it disengages the teeth. When you let go of it, it engages the teeth and allows you to tighten and loosen it. So we're gonna go over to the one and only mounting plate in the camper for the Lagun table. You're just gonna line this dovetail up with the mount, slide this on, and this is actually how you're gonna adjust the height of the table as well. So again, like that ratchet wrench feature I said, disengage that, let go, and then you can tighten. And again, disengage, you're gonna bring them back up to the top and tighten. So that is nice and secure. We're gonna grab post 2. Go ahead and assemble this like so. So one thing to know is you do have some teeth on this thing. So this is actually gonna be for the table itself. I like to align this and the Lagun facing down. And you don't have to use the ratchet wrench because there's nothing in the way. So you can just really tighten that one down. And then we're gonna grab the table. Gonna line that little post up with the hole. Bring that down, slide it into place. And again, you can really tighten these down if you want. I like to have it a little loose on this post because it can act like a house, just like your island or island in your house. So really versatile, great for prepping. If you're prep cooking, you can actually move this thing out of the way and you have your whole floor space back and available, and then just bring it back out when you're wanting to prep or 2 people sitting here working or eating. It's a really versatile table. I think it's one of the cooler features that make this platform more versatile. So really good solution for a bed, table, and cooking area. So another cool feature with the Outpost 6.5 is we do have 2 hatches that have our 5-inch deep floor storage. I really like having a little more storage, and this is a great way to store your shoes, maybe some leveling blocks. I'd kind of avoid putting any like soft clothes, jackets, because as you fill this thing up with clothes and you put the latch down, you have a tendency of having this thing float, and then it's kind of awkward to stand on. So I advise just putting like some like more weighted items, extension cords, shoes, leveling blocks, really good storage areas front and back. So again, 5-inch deep. So just stay within that dimension. You should be good. Last but not least, we're going to go over loading the Outpost 6.5. Things you may need. Tape measure just to measure from the ground to the top of the tailgate. And then maybe some leveling blocks once you have that measurement to make sure that it is high enough to go into the truck bed. You will need a barrier, protective barrier between the truck bed and the bottom of the camper. And then that forward-facing cab will have some type of protective material there, whether that's at the bottom or the top of that bed rail. It's always good to have an extra person. We sent you with 2 drill chucks, so with 2 people with 2 drills and 2 drill chucks is great. You can do it by yourself, but having 2 people is definitely way easier, and then helping assist as you back it in under the camper. And then just verifying the camper fits your truck bed. So making sure if it's a 6'6" bed, you can actually shut the tailgate. If it's anything shorter than that, you will have to ride with the tailgate down or off. So just verify those before you come pick up, and let's get into it. So now we're at the front 2 jacks. We always like to keep that weight back, keeping that nose a little higher. And again, I've got my partner Bo here, which is gonna make this super, super easy to load. So we'll go ahead, lift that nose up first. Again, once you have that nose up higher, we can stop and we'll move to the back. And this is how you're gonna just keep going back and forth, raising it 4 to 5 inches at a time. Again, keeping that weight to the rear, keeping that cab over nose higher. So like I said before, we're gonna take that measurement from the ground to the top of the tailgate. So we're right about 37.5, and then go measure from the ground to the bottom of the camper. And we're at 39.75. So we know we're gonna clear that. It's always good to go a few more inches above just to make sure if you have unlevel ground that it's still gonna clear. So right now we're gonna have me get in the driver's seat and Bo's gonna direct me back. So as I'm backing up, Bo's gonna guide to make sure that the floor is gonna be high enough from the tailgate and the truck bed, and he's gonna guide it between the two wheel wells. So as I back in, he's gonna make sure that I'm free and clear and I do not hit anything with the truck. So just always do this slowly. And Bo's telling me to go driver side. Going a little passenger. Always go slow when you're doing this process. You can always check your both mirrors too when you're doing this. Perfect. Perfect. So this is when you're gonna stop a few, probably 6 to 10 inches before you're all the way to the bed wall. And then you're gonna go ahead and connect your DC to DC tie. I always advise doing that option so you can charge the camper battery again when you're driving down the road. And then you're gonna secure the front two tie down self retracting ratchet straps. Go ahead, get those secured. Got those secured. Your partner's gonna hopefully get that other one for you. And then we're gonna get back in the truck once that happens, and we're gonna back it all the way up to the bed wall of the truck. And good. That time you're gonna throw it in park, and you can shut the vehicle off at this time. And then we're just gonna lower that down into the truck bed. So we're all backed in. So before you start lowering it, it's really good to verify that you are between the wheel wells, so it's not gonna sit on the wheel wells. And then the direction of your ratchet strap handles. So you always want them facing the porthole. So the driver's side, we have it facing back because the porthole is behind it. And then if you go over to the passenger side, that's actually gonna be the opposite direction. So you're gonna have the passenger side ratchet handle facing forward because the porthole is forward facing. This will just allow you to get a better grip and strength while you ratchet that down from the interior portholes. And so now we're gonna go ahead, we verified that. We're gonna go ahead and lower it. Again, you can do like 4 to 5 inches at a time. We're just gonna swap from the front and the back. So at this point, we're about to make contact, so we're gonna go ahead and put all the weight onto the truck bed. Are you free? Okay, so we're both off. So this is when I like to make micro adjustments. So if you don't like the how it sits between the wheel wells, this is when you can re-engage the jacks just till the camper is off the bed of the truck, and then you can slightly move it so it's centered in the wheel well. So we're gonna go ahead, because it does have to go a little passenger side. So we're gonna go ahead and put some weight back on the jacks, just till it slightly floats right there, and then we'll go to the front and get this slightly off the bed of the truck as well. Perfect. So now we have all the weight off the truck bed. And then I can go ahead and Bo, I'll have you come down on your side. So just move this slightly, you can come down. Perfect. I like that. And I like, so take the weight back off. And yeah, nice and centered. So again, this is a Ram series truck. So this is shorter than 6 feet, 6 inches. So rather than taking the tailgate off, we decided to ride with the tailgate down. I like that because you can still have back patio when you're traveling, but just really know before you go with the Ram series trucks. Now that we have the truck settled in the bed where we like it, we're gonna have retract the jacks fully. So just be mindful when you get to the top of this, you wanna go a little slower because as that foot comes all the way up, you wanna start going slow right here because if you go too fast and you engage that thing fully, it can rip the drill out of your hand. So just be mindful and go slow when you get to the foot gets to the top of that jack there. So now that we got all the jacks all the way up, we're gonna go inside the camper. We are now at the front passenger side of the seating area, and you're gonna lift the cushion up, locate that porthole, take that off, and then you're gonna reach down here and ratchet this thing down. You can go pretty tight with this until you feel comfortable. So like right there, I feel good. Put that ratchet back up in the lock position. Go ahead, close that porthole. And then we're gonna do the same thing. Again, that driver's side porthole is located under the sink in the cabinet. So we do the same thing as we just did in that porthole. So we got the front 2 tie downs secured through the portholes. We're gonna come to the rear ones and do the same thing. Once you have the rear 2 secured, so we've got all 4 ratchet straps tightened, so the camper is now secured to the truck bed. Good thing to note is as you do road miles, whether it's washboard or road miles, just recheck the tightness of all 4 straps. So that was just a good overview on what you can expect on your handoffs here in Bayfield, Colorado. If you have any questions, just call us or email us during our business hours. And if you want to access any of those guides I mentioned in the video, go ahead and go to our website and access the resource page.